and so I got burned pretty bad on it, and that sucked. And then
I just want to show you what my challenge students get a little taste of these live webinars right now. My top student, Tim Grattani, is giving a live webinar, $1,500 he started with roughly 5 years ago. He's up to 3.6 million. He's going to review his past few months. He just talked about how August was actually his first down month, but he's been traveling. He's been moving to the Caribbean. He's had a crazy few months, but I'll let him speak. Just check this out.
and that was that. Now September, back on the green side of things, 63,000 for the month. Never really had any terrible losing days, a few days of minus 4,000-ish. And I don't really remember any specifics from this month. I think it was just pretty normal trading. I must have been pretty good about respecting my stops. I must have, no huge gains. My best day of the month was $15,000. So September just basically got things back on track, and I think that was the focus. Was I came back and I was trading during vacation and conferences and all that, and condo hunting, but also with the mentality of don't be an idiot. Don't try to make back UPLMQ. You're a good trader. It's going to happen on its own. So just take it one setup at a time. October was a little bit sketchy because I had this huge red day here. Two big red days in a row, minus 22,000 and minus 60,000. And that was BTUUQ, and that was really the start of my sloppiness. OTC, very illiquid. It wasn't so much intentional sloppiness, but I kind of hadn't traded OTCs too much for a while, and I had something like a 10,000 share position on BTUUQ short, and it started to squeeze me, and I just couldn't get executed. And then, or I think I was getting a lot of partial executions where I'd get down to like 5,000-6,000 shares, and then I'd think it was topping, so I'd add back, never having completely gotten out. And that was breaking my rules.
Stupid alerts.
So good in the year up until this point about, okay, if I had gotten
I was
stubborn,
Superman
if I had
buying
gotten
something.
trapped, if I was still in something I shouldn't be in, my punishment was I wasn't allowed to add. And unfortunately, I broke that rule. And I tried adding, and that's why the 21st got as ugly as it did. So big red week there, minus 55,000, but bounced back, nailed BTUUQ on the backside. I think, this $53,000 day was a CANN short. I think I Instagram photoed it. One of these bigger days in this week was another cannabis one. I think it was CBDS, but marijuana heated up towards the end of October, and that's a big part of what saved me this month. So I ended up 102,000, but it was not as good of a month as it looks like because of that sloppiness and that rule breaking. And that pattern continued into November when dries just kicked my ass. The first batch, the $15 short that I held up into the 70s before boxing it up was minus 72,000. The next day trying to attack and short. That was a really frustrating day. It was kind of a lot like this ETRM day where it had the big sign of weakness, but it held green, had a huge rebound on air. And I could have probably made back my entire loss from the 14th if I had just covered. But instead, I was holding out, looking for the real crack, the real breakdown. And, I got chewed up, and then that led to frustration on the 16th also, before finally all the shippers crashed and I made it pretty much all back. But again, despite all those sloppy mistakes, green month, 73,000. So, great that it was green, bad that it was so sloppy. And December was a lot more of what I'm used to. I think I was just mainly shorting dries and IDXG and stuff like that. The big runners, shorting the backside of the moves, staying patient with the backside of the moves and swinging. And, took this little $5,000 hit right at the end of the year. Well, not end of the year, but end of my year, minus 5,400. I think that was just a long trade that didn't work out. I don't really remember the specifics, or maybe it was a couple trades. But it wasn't any huge rule break or anything like that. It was something that was going against me, and I took it off, and no real regrets about that. So for the year, January till December, just over 900,000, and a huge step forward from the previous year. So all the work on discipline paid off. I obviously wasn't perfect. I definitely still have a ways to go. But it was kind of nice to be in travel mode, trading from a laptop for the most part, and string together 4 green months, even though there were some serious flaws in my trading. So, you know, like I said, you can't ever be satisfied. You can't ever exhale and say, okay, well, I'm no longer a stubborn trader. Like, my work here is done. I'm going to have to keep on battling to, follow discipline every single day. And so far, off to a good start in January. I would hope that that will continue, and I'll continue to follow my rules. But I even saying it now, I don't like the phrasing of that. Like, it shouldn't be a I can only hope thing. Like, it's in my hands. I'm the one in control. Like, either be disciplined or don't. So I'm really going to work on that. I'm going to make sure that this year is a good year for me.
All right, so I just typed in a little comment here, and I said this, mind you, this is more money than I've ever made in any one year. So my top student is making more money than me. And frankly, this is why I'm a teacher. I am a good trader. I've made millions of dollars. But I think by sharing my successes and sharing my mistakes and sharing my own personal attributes and weaknesses, you guys can get better than me. And, Tim Grittani has taken it to a whole new level. If you go to timgrittani.com and you see his, DVD, you'll see a lot of his live trades. But he is so transparent. He is so honest. He is so humble. And he is such a hard worker. Trading while traveling is tough. He normally trades with a few monitors. Now I think he's actually getting used to trading with just a laptop. A lot of professional traders think that it's impossible to make money with just a laptop. Tim Grittani proves it. I prove it. Several other students prove it. But I want you not to say, hey, I want to be exactly like Tim Grittani. If you watch this whole webinar, and you challenge students, you have this webinar archived along with 4 dozen other webinars from Tim Grittani and hundreds of webinars from my other millionaire student, Michael Good, myself, and my upcoming millionaire student, Mark Crook, who's now close to 700,000 in profits. You'll see that it's not about doing exactly what we do and trying to copy another trader. You take a little bit from each trader and say, hey, I like that strategy. Hey, I like that pattern. Oh, that rule really resonates well with me. And that is the secret to learning. In this webinar and in several other webinars, Tim Grittani has specifically said, he never had success following other traders. Never had success. The success that he has is when he learns from other traders and then implements some of their rules and strategies and perspectives into his own trading. And I know that's tough for a lot of you guys. You just want it to be easy. Like, hey, Tim, just give me a hot stock to buy. I don't want to think, just give me something I can just copy. You need to develop your own plan. You need to develop your own strengths, and you need to minimize your own weaknesses, because we are all different. And some people mock me for how many video lessons and DVDs and webinars we have, but hopefully by sharing it, through so many different stocks. I mean, Tim Grittani in this webinar earlier on, I should have screen captured that too. I was trading myself. I made, I'm filming this at 11 a.m. Eastern on January 10th, 2017. I made personally $3,000 today. So I actually have to post a live trading video. I got my trade all on video. So while I was listening in on some of his webinar, I was also trading. But this is why we have so much content, because it's not any one rule, not any one stock. It's teaching you a whole mindset and perspective. And you looking back and going through the archives really, really helps you. I know that many people don't want to do it. Some big time traders, they post some big losses, and I try to be helpful. And I'm like, hey, here's a guide or here's something that I think can help you. And they, a lot of big traders hate me because they think that I'm just like trying to push stuff on them. And I'm really just trying to help them and show them different, pieces of history and content that I think can help change their perspective and open it up. And this is why I post so much stuff totally for free, so that you can see that this stuff is real. And the more that you study, the luckier that you get. It's really crazy how it works. Um, People can say that this is all luck and there's no strategy. That's bullshit. There's specific strategy. Tim Grittani does the exact same fucking strategies all the time. On this webinar, I think he made, I want to say close to 10 grand because he was shorting like 2,000 shares of ETRM, I think at like 21 or 22, and it went down to like 16. I don't know exactly when he covered. Again, I have to watch this whole webinar, and I learned from him too. I'm not like so smart that I'm like, oh, I know everything, and I'm never gonna, study or learn from any other traders. You learn from all traders. Let me find this other trader. Hold on one sec. This is one of my newest six-figure students, Eric Russell, and he just had the biggest win of his career. I mean, he posted this an hour and a half ago on DFFN, which was another play that was spiking today. There's so many freaking plays. It's kind of unreal. I know many of you guys are under the PDT rule and you're limited in what you can play. Don't feel like you have to play everything. Just learn from everything because there are so many plays right now. And DFFN was good on the long side. ETRM was good on the short side. NTFU, which is my biggest winner, was good on the short side. LQMT was decent on the long side. CETX was a good dip buy in the mid sixes, as it's always been for the past 2 weeks now. So there were so many opportunities. Oh, and then also BIOC is running, and XGTI ran a little. I mean, it is overwhelming right now. And so the only way that you can make sense is by studying the past. Eric Russell, he had his biggest win of his career today. That's awesome, but it wasn't luck. He's been studying my video lessons, hardcore, and he's been studying for like a year now. I said, congrats, man. Nice to see all your hard work paying off. And he said, thanks for all the support along the way. I said, the pleasure is mine. I love when success happens to good people. And Eric is one of the nicest people you will ever meet or talk to. And I'm so proud of him for making 13 grand. He had $5,000 to his name roughly a year ago. And he was diligent. He was dedicated. He has made some mistakes along the way, but now he's seeing it, really, really adding up. No different than Tim Grittani, where, he didn't have success for the first 9 months. Eric Russell actually practiced paper trading for 7 months before he started trading. So if you look at some of these success stories, Tim Grittani was not consistently profitable for 9 months. Eric Russell paper traded for 7 months. I was, frankly successful from the start, but I was also starting in 99, 2000, when there was a real tech bubble. And even though I was successful, I had so many stupid losses. So I don't mind you paper trading. In fact, in the next 3 days, Stocks to Trade, which is a platform that you should have and should be using, will have paper trading real time. So you can practice on that. But practice makes perfect, and studying makes perfect. And all you challenge students, look at all these archive webinars. This is just in the past, literally, this is the past 20 days. Past 3 weeks, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and now 6 webinars in 3 weeks. So you have roughly 2 webinars per week. All of them are archived. Go back and listen to old Tim Grittani ones. Go back and listen to old, Mark Crook ones and Michael Good and myself. Somebody was just asking me the right broker setup and how to get better executions. Michael Good has done amazing webinars on hotkeys and how he sets up his brokers and how he gets executions, faster than others. He was the first one to break the news on LQMT in the chat room today, and he profited. So you really, really, really need to study. I don't know what I can say to reinforce this. I post my pictures of my cash and my charity and my cars and my trips and my life because, frankly, I'm so grateful. Oh, Tim Grittani looks like he's done. Yeah, I guess he's been going for like 2.5 hours now. I need you to be dedicated. If you're not going to be dedicated, if you don't have time, if you don't want to watch, I did a live trading webinar the other day. What did I make? I made like 1,000, I think. I don't remember. Yeah, I think it was like 1,300. And then Crook does live trading, and then today was Tim Grittani live trading. You gotta study the past. It's not an exact science, but it's all about being better prepared. And, you know, some of you guys get it. You know, some of these challenge students are in the webinars every single day. Every single time we have them, some of these guys are asking great questions. You know, my student Morris asked some great questions. My student Ethan asked some great questions. Kevin, JT, Richie. I mean, there's Stefano. I mean, there's so many of you that I see that are really studying hard. Eric F. I got to give you props. You're studying hard too. And I love seeing that dedication, because the more dedicated you are to your studies, you know, the better your odds of success. People ask, can you guarantee me profits? You know, I don't want to waste my time. I don't want to waste my money. I can't guarantee you profits. And anybody who says that they can is full of shit. What we can do is we can guarantee you that we will teach you every single thing that we have learned, and that will cut down your education time and your learning curve dramatically. I never had a mentor when I first started. We didn't have this technology to even be able to teach when I first started. The internet has evolved greatly over the past 2 decades. But to be able to learn from live trading from actual self-made millionaires, you know, Tim Grittani was not born rich, okay? I was not born rich. Mark Crook was not born rich. Michael Good was not born rich. We have made our money from scratch. And some people are like, oh, what are your qualifications? You know, you're not registered with the CFA, or I don't even know what the regulations are, you know, the different associations. It's all bullshit. It's total bullshit. You know, the only association that I'm in is the Association of Self-Made Millionaires and self-made transparent millionaires, because we don't just brag about being millionaires. We actually show every single trade. There's a whole bunch of people on the internet that claim to be rich and they claim to make money, and then they don't. I was talking to this other guy. He wanted to be a guru on Profitly the other day. And I was like, well, how much have you made? And he's like, well, a few $100,000. And I'm like, you know, 100 grand, 200 grand, 300 grand. And I typed it all out. I said 100, 200, 300, 400, 500, 600, 700, 800, 900. Pick one. Because I knew he was so full of shit when I say, how much have you made? We're in an industry full of stats. You saw Tim Grittani going over his spreadsheets. He cannot just talk about his overall profits, which he posts on Profitly, but he can talk about his daily profits, his weekly profits. And it is absurd that if somebody says, you know, I'm a millionaire, and they don't know their exact stats. And he's like, well, I'm not focused on my own personal trading. You know, I'm more focused on my students. We've had one student who went from 1,000 to 200,000. Another student went from 4,000 to 400,000. And I'm like, well, let's focus on your trading first of all. Why on your website in the disclaimer does it just say hypothetical results? There's a lot of people who claim to be traders, and guess what? They're just trading demo accounts, and they haven't even really made money. And he said, oh, that's the disclaimer for, you know, the futures industry. I'm like, all right, give me an exact number. How much have you made? And he's like, well, now that you're asking me directly, I mean, it's probably around 300,000. And I'm like, okay, good. Thank you for at least sharing that. And he's like, cool, can we work together? And I'm like, no, you fucking failed. You know, if you don't know the number right away and I have to claw it out of you, we're not going to get along, okay? We're not going to do well in the future. I'm sorry. And then I also looked at the testimonials on his website, and I'm looking for these quote students who turned a few thousand into a few 100,000. They're nowhere there. His testimonials had like Joe R saying, oh, this is a great teacher. No numbers given, no real names given. And sadly, that's the state of the financial education industry. Most people are absolute frauds. If you don't show every trade, if you don't show me your full names, I am not interested in working with you or teaching with you, because you are shady as fuck. I'm sorry to be a dick, but I am a safety first kind of guy. And even though I'm not the best trader in the world, I show everything. My students show everything. You can talk with Tim Grittani. You can talk with Michael Good. You can talk with Mark Crook. We're not just Tim G, MG, MC. We show our real names. We're real people. I went to freaking Mark Crook's wedding. It was beautiful. One of my students, Asmjan, named his son after me, little Timur. He shows every trade. He's gone from 2,000 to like 300,000 now. So if you want to learn, you got to be dedicated. If you want to work with me, you got to be transparent. I have very simple rules. I can be aggressive. I can, you know, be an ass sometimes. And for that, I apologize. I sit in front of a laptop all day and I talk to my computer screen and I see little blinking red and green lights and I see traders who are full of shit all the time. And unless you prove otherwise, I'm just going to assume that you're full of shit. And that goes with students too, where they say, oh, Tim, I want to be rich. Prove it. Show me how hard you're willing to work. How many webinars are you willing to dig through? Show me your notes. Show me your trades. Show me that you're practicing and trying. This is not an easy game, okay? Some people say, oh, trading is so easy. Forex is so easy. Options are so easy. I have never met a successful, consistently profitable options or Forex trader. Do you know that? We've had a few options newsletters on Profitly. They've all failed. You know, people go up big and then they go down big. Forex, up big, down big. Too much leverage. 5 out of 6 Forex traders blow up in the first 6 months. Binary trading, don't even get me started. The whole fucking industry is a scam, and I have to do a whole expose on that. Penny stocks, I know. Everyone hates penny stocks. The Wolf of Wall Street, pump and dump, blah, blah, blah. What we're doing is looking for patterns. And by showing live trading and showing these patterns that repeat again and again and again, maybe not in the exact manner, but pretty much the same. I mean, the patterns haven't changed in 2 decades since I started. I know that my niche is greatly hated, but I also know that it's greatly misunderstood. And as Tim Grattani, myself, Mark Crooks, Stephen Ducks, my latest $600,000 profit student, he's in the chat room today saying, I just can't get over $5,000 profit per day. It seems to be my limit. And he's like pissed. As we show more trades and as you start to see more and more, and if you're bothered to look more and more, you will see that this is all real. And frankly, that's why I can swear. Frankly, that's why if you're doubtful of me and my strategy and my students in any way, just don't bother learning. I'm not going to get offended. Just leave. You waste my time with your doubts and your back and forth and your flip-flop. I mean, it's hard enough for me to create millionaire students from scratch. If you have doubts, if you're going to question every single thing, just stop and save us both the hassle from the get-go. You know, it takes total dedication to be a self-made millionaire. I'm sorry, there's no work-life balance. People are like, oh, you shouldn't care so much about money. Fuck that. It's not about the money. It's the freedom that the money brings. Tim Grattani just moved to the freaking Caribbean because he can with his beautiful new wife. Amazing. Okay, I've been to over 100 countries. Michael Good likes paying for houses in cash. Mark Crook moved to Miami with his beautiful new wife. Stephen Ducks, you know, he just literally made 600 grand in the past 10 months. So his life, he hasn't even changed that much lately, but he's working hard. And I saw Stephen Ducks in the challenge chat room is answering questions too. We have a separate chat room for challenge students because, you know, it's less degenerates. They're more about helping each other. Totally different mindset. And Stephen Ducks, you know, somebody was like, Stephen, how do you do all this? Like you're so dedicated all within 10 months. How did you do all this? And he's like, you know, I'm watching video lessons everywhere. He said, I think at the gym, at the kitchen table, even on the toilet. And I laughed to myself at that comment. But that's what it takes. You know, if you truly want something that everybody else in the world wants, which is, you know, money and freedom, you're going to have to work harder than you can ever imagine. Some people will not get it. Most people will not get it. Your friends, your family, you know, studying on the toilet. Are you serious? Is this healthy for you? I'm sure studying this hard and wanting something this badly is not healthy. I'm sure that if my top millionaire students and I saw a psychologist and we asked for a diagnosis, you know, we would probably be given many different drugs to help deal with our obsession and our you know, one-track minds. But again, it's all up to you. You know, you can have a healthy work-life balance. You can work your 9-to-5 job. You can live middle class forever. Or you can learn to make 6 figures, 7 figures per year and then do whatever you want, whenever you want, and, you know, start your own charity. I'm on the verge of announcing a 7-figure donation. I can't wait. It's been taking a little while, but like in trading, the charity world is full of sketchy people and characters and foundations. So it took me a while to find the right charity to even donate 7 figures to. I'm not just going to donate for the sake of it. I want to make sure that my money, you know, is going to good use. And I think we found that. But it takes time, whether you're growing a charity, whether you're learning trading, whether you're building a track record. and you need to have the right mindset. So anyways, that's today's lesson. Tim Grattani, thank you for your live trading webinar. Congrats, I think, on your roughly $10,000 in profits. Thank you to all you students who are dedicated. Anybody who wants to be a challenge student, you have to apply. Okay, some people are like, just make me a challenge student. Just let me buy it. No, you have to apply and go through a process with my team who will try to flesh out the week. And if you're not dedicated, if you just want hot stock picks, if you're not willing to put in the work, we don't want to work with you. I have an upcoming book and an upcoming TV show. I want more testimonials. I want more successful students. But you gotta be so dedicated. And many of you just don't know what that means. And it's not a knock on you, it's just a choice. And you have to choose whether you want to be truly dedicated, like Tim Grattani is, like I am, like many students are, and will change your life over time. Not necessarily in one day or 1 week or 1 month, but over a few years with this knowledge, you'll be surprised at how quickly it adds up if you are dedicated. People are messaging me. I gotta go. Let me actually make more video lessons. It doesn't stop as a teacher either. I'm obsessed as a teacher. That's what it takes. If you want to be a teacher, you got to be obsessed. Okay? You can't just say, "Oh, I made one trade today. I made one video lesson." It doesn't stop. I see lessons everywhere. I turned this whole screen capture on just because I saw Tim Grattani, about to go through his monthly stuff, and I thought that it might be useful, and it is. And I'm very fortunate. I love my job. I love you guys, but I wish that I had more time for everybody, but I don't. Only the dedicated. So adapt or perish. Thank you. Shalom.